And what is up, my AoE anarchist Risen Dragon here with our first video in a couple months. It's been a while. But today we're looking at Age of Empires 2. This is the first game of a play all three show match against Kiki da Fox for our AoE Specialists tournament. Now that is a tournament that is being run over the next month or so, and it involves 4 different types of maps. You have open, closed, hybrid, and water. I am a part of the open map section, which hopefully we're going to get going soon. I am playing the Vikings. Kiki da Fox, a player from the United Kingdom, is playing the Berbers. So we'll get into the tech tree in a little bit after this match, but this game, quite literally, let me go into a little bit of what's been happening in my AoE stuff. I was hoping to get some quality AoE content going, but after winning the first match of my ranked career, I went on to lose the next 9. So confidence shaken, not necessarily stirred. This match actually, believe it or not, helped, and hence the title of my best loss ever. So let's get into it. Let's start with our road to feudal. Here, Kiki does something interesting. They do a strategy called laming, which means they try to take my resources. They steal my sheep, but I go in and I'm like, hey, guess what? Your vill, it goes bye-bye. There it goes. Boom. And I just go in and rediscover and click up on the sheep. And here they go into, even they say, oops. And they try to lame the rhino there, which they don't end up which they do a little bit, I think. But anyways, we just focus on our stuff here. And this one looks like it gets chased a little bit. That's not a good sign. 'Cause that rhino is gonna, yeah. All right, so that stopped it there, and then they went there, and yeah, they tried to lame us, but didn't quite work out the way they wanted it to, but that's okay. So we just kind of do our own thing. We're 2 vills ahead at this point. The big thing that I try to focus on is idle TC time, and that's still an issue for me, but I digress. This one, as you see the rhino, yeah, well, looks like they ended up 2 eco kills on their own, so oops. Well, that is what it is. But the build order was a little bit messed up on this. I have 8 on food, 1 on, now 2 on wood. The Vikings are a civ that I've kind of gotten into lately, mainly because of the fact that they've got some low-key good archer selections, and I like to play archer civs. So that's my plan for this, is just basically go archers into, oh no, and right there. So right there, that's a problem I've still got to work on, is making sure that all my vills go to like 1 sheep at a time. And as you see here, they try to, I don't know what they try to do here. So basically, I think I come in here and I try to, I lame him. But anyways, that's interesting strategy, but I think I end up losing a vill here too. No, do I? Yeah, I think I do. I think he ends up getting a kill here. Yeah, they end up getting a kill, but alright, so 2-1 on their part, but it's all good. So that like stays there for quite a while, not gonna lie. So anyways, so a little bit of a wonky strategy to begin with, but yeah, kind of is what it is. But do notice I've got a pretty sizable vill lead already, and the problem is my TC. I still have to work on that. I really do have to work on my idle TC time. I really, really do. It's something that really bothers me. It's something I'm working on. But notice here, I click up the 4 vills, and we go right into loom. I click the mill and whatnot. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. We're going to speed it up. just for the sake of this. I will say that we did have an issue with the that. Now here's an interesting strategy that I've been using too, is the double mill strategy. And let me slow this down a little bit. So basically what you do is you have 1 mill here for berries, 1 mill here to get the game going. As you can see now, all my vills are there focused on getting the deer and stuff. I'm still not a huge fan of pushing deer, but as you can see here, these vills right here are quite idle. So I end up just saying, hey, you know what? They end up just doing their own thing. So, and those end up breaking off there. We end up going there. So, an interesting little strat. I don't know if it works, but let's see what happens. So, Loom comes in. I've got the pop going. Some idle TC time. Now both of us, we start getting the houses built. Do notice that our idle TC time in feudal is definitely not where it needs to be. This needs to be under 30 seconds for sure. Something though that as a beginner still working on. But notice Kiki also has some very high idle TC time, and we're about 4 vills ahead. So I think at this point I'm just like, yeah, just get me to feudal as much as I possibly can. So, and I may have misspoke there, but that's okay. So yeah, pretty interesting feudal or dark age to start for both of us. Of course, our idle TC times could have been a lot better, but I think we're in a pretty good spot right here. We have 5 on wood and 14 on food. And now we start to, and I think at some point I do notice that this rhino is just rotting over here. So despite being, kind of lamed early on, or with a lame attempt at laming, which is when your, which is when the opponent tries to come in and steal your resources. I get another lumber camp going. So I got 2 lumber camps going already, which is I don't know if that's an interesting strategy or not, but we'll leave it to the expertos here. They steal my a sheep once again, so that's alright. So let's show you what I see. So right here I haven't really done a lot of scouting because my scout is kind of yeah. So in there I kill the lion and whatnot. But now here he's floating a ton of wood, and I think they're going fast. Or quote-unquote fast castle. But notice here too, I have 20 vills. Town center goes dark. I've got the barracks going. Ultimately, that should be a part of the defense. I don't know why I'm so not running my TC. So I have no excuse for that. I think maybe because it's like, well, what do I do with my vills? So who knows? But basically my plan here is to start going into archery ranges as soon as I can get the wood to do so. I do get the double bit. I do get the horse collar going. That's something that I have tried to do. And notice too, they've pulled ahead as far as their vill count is concerned, but and now they all start to go migrating towards farming, I think, is where we end up. Yep. And then I realized, oh wait, I don't have a lot of wood, so some of them go to wood and all that. So, and again, idle TC time. Still have to work on that quite a bit. I do produce some spears because the Berbers are known for their spear, or not spear, noted for their, oh wow, I didn't notice that these are all, oof, that's brutal. That's pretty brutal right there. Yeah, they're noted for their cav stuff. So, Kiki, I think, decides to quote-unquote go fast castle here, I guess. Quote-unquote fast castle, if you want to call a 20-minute castle age fast. But, getting some spears put up is, getting some spears put up is a pretty good defense against any cav structure they come across. So, now we get the archery range going. I probably should have had another Vil do that, and the horse collar and double bit come in for him. And again, just gotta make sure that I don't, moving forward, I can't idle my TC. That's something I have to really work at. But again, as a beginner, you want to get that out. But notice too, I've pulled ahead in the Vil count. I've housed myself, which is common. But my wood count, I'm floating a ton of wood, and I have to go from there. So here I actually get a mill going, and we can actually start taking apart what's left of the rhino, because we do get that going on. And I do get an archery range. And here I'm going to say is where Kiki had a dropout. And we're back. Yep, here we go. All right, and we're back. So I do end up only going with the one range, and I do have to get better at producing right away with this. And again, still just really not up on the uptake on this. I think part of the reason is just, you know, I want to make sure I'm getting the most bang for my buck out of it, because I don't have the gold mine going or mining camp going, and I want to get that up and running. So here, Kiki, I think, is trying to go into castle as fast as they can, and now finally I do get an archer going. So that is definitely, there are a lot of areas that I need to work on, and I'm going to keep saying that throughout this, but I do think that the early pressure, just watch what I do here. So now our TC is kind of humming again, but again, we idled it for quite a bit, so yeah, so we have to get that going. I think that, again, the big thing for me is just getting the all the gold up and running too. It's just balance for me is incredibly important. So making sure that I have got that going on. And notice they're going castle already, but I've got, you know, like I said, a little bit of a higher score. So you know, blacksmith comes in because I want to, you know, get some defense going there because there's a hole there I wanted to fill. So we get that going on. But again, I've got to get, you know, got to get better at that. Got to get better at oops. There we go. There we go. You know, got to get better at that. But here I start scouting with my spears, and I do come across some of their resources. And now I start going full out archers, and I made a mistake of not putting that under the same queue. Fletching does come in, but again, so I try to take out a few of their, you know, try to take out a little bit of their eco. I don't quite get there, but remember too, this is the second part of that, the continuation of the game. Kiki dropped out due to a connection issue. And my archery range, both of these need to be humming. I thought I was under the impression that I had it under the oh, we're still in feudal. I'm sorry. He went to castle before I did. But notice too, but now they finally start getting up and running. So that was on me. I think I misprogrammed the hotkey, or I missed the hotkey at some point. But anyways, so now I start to go up to now I go castle, and this is where and notice here too, I put this down here. I mean, I'm trying to make sure that I've got some eyes and ears here, but let's look at the map in general. They've got 2 TCs going on right now. It's undefended in the back, and had I pushed maybe a little bit more, I might have had a little more success in that. But also too, I missed this part right here, so that was something that needed to happen. But again, we get archers coming in. My goal is to go archers into knights, and at least try to pick off some stuff that they have. Now I attack the barracks. I don't know why I do that. And eventually I do. Yeah, I realize my error, and I say, hey, let's scout a little bit more and see if there's any other thing I can do here. Because again, we get some houses, we get a mining camp going. Eco, I'm floating a lot of wood, so I don't even have a market up yet. Oh no, I do have a market. I did get a market built. So now my intent go up to castle. And notice I've got 16 military units here. They've only got 1. Here is where I need to get a lot more aggressive. And now I do find the back entrance, so to speak. I find a wood line, find a nice favorable wood line. I start taking pot shots at their eco. But the problem is I don't do enough damage. And I find a way in. And yeah, a monk. Nice try. Okay, I escaped for a few minutes at least. Crossbowman coming in. I've got to get my stable up and running. But I do also want to make sure that I've got, you know, the fletching involved, and I do. So here we've got quite a strong unit, but they also are starting to gain their... I don't know where they're going there. And I get a TC going. Crossbowmen coming in still. Also, pikemen, I'm uploading. I'm upgrading to them because again, Berbers. I know that they can be, cav driven. Had I scouted a little bit better, they do have a stable. Actually, they have 2 stables, so that was actually probably not a bad thing there. But they do have skirms. They did see the initial investment in the. And they take out my pikes. That was not really a good trade for me. For whatever reason, I had arson. I don't know why I did that. But yeah. So. And also too, I've got 6-7 vills queued up. And here come the stables. A little bit late. I needed to be a little more quick on the uptake. I needed to be more aggressive, I think, in this game. I think for sure I didn't need to be more aggressive. As my pikes are gonna kind of take... And also one thing I noticed too, this is all cracked ground here. So all my buildings are gonna be less than stable when it comes to that. So, and then notice too, the knights, I immediately get... I should have done this with my archery ranges early in the game. Getting these stables up and humming with my knights, absolutely key to any person's survival in this game if you want to be successful. Just get, you know, and I think eventually I do end up canceling this out and switching to 2 ranges so it gets a little bit quicker. I don't know if I do, I can't remember. They go elite skirm and stone mining. I'm going heavy plow to kind of get my keep my farms up and humming. But notice too, I've got vills coming in, and now we push forward with a castle drop. Do they see that though? I don't know if they do or not, but we do get a castle going. And again, I probably think I realized too late. And now here come the skirms. They see the castle. And that's where I come in and start picking off their skirms. The knights go around. Let's see. But I start gaining some, I guess, start getting some nice kills here. And, you know, the knights come in. They're going to take care of the skirms pretty easy. But they now start to see, eventually. And here they all come. They all come in. And that castle is going to be contested. So I've got to start thinking about how am I going to stop this. They're taking out my vills. The castle goes up. And here is where I start to think, man, I might have this game. I might have this. I might have them. But as you're going to see, it turns real fast. And I forgot that you have these units, and you'll see them coming out in a minute, I think. Okay, all of those are... Yeah, let's see. Get that going. But now I got a town center going right behind the castle here. They start... I'm not quite yet. But I need to... Alright, there we go. Now those 2 are coming on. I start building a nice little house wall around my TC. I got a monastery. So yeah, and again, at this point, I'm like, hey, this is pretty good. But then they get the petards. And that's a problem. That is a big problem because those take down castles. And I forgot that we have those units. So I start going berserks. And in our post-mortem, Kiki said, you know, instead of berserks, you should have just gone siege. And the more I thought about it, I was like, yep, that's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. And the problem with these two castles being so close to each other is the petards are definitely not gonna, they're not gonna get exploded by the time that they hit the castle. So, you know, this to me was just kind of like a oops on my end. But again, berserks can go pretty well berserk. And again, the knights, I mean, and here I think. And now here they come, and that just absolutely ruins. Absolutely ruins. And the problem is, too, I also take on the castle with my infantry. And I don't know if they have murder holes, but the petards just come in. But yeah, this right here is just, I'm attacking a windmill. I'm literally just like Don Quixote attacking windmills. And here I should be going after their res. But also, too, note, I mean, I've got a substantial lead as far as vills are concerned. But here, this is just a bad fight for me. It's a bad fight. I should have retreated. I don't retreat until it's too late. I try to do too much with too little, just as always. So, I try to get that repaired, and it just does not work, and down goes the castle. And here is where the tide really turned. I really lost a lot, and actually I'm going to rewind it, I'm going to rewind it quite a bit. Here is where, if you look on this area here, okay, as my castle's going down, these crossbowmen just take on the TC. And that's where I should have pulled back, pulled around, gone through this right here, because I do think I had seen that, and it's just too little, too late, and down goes the castle, and at this point I realized, oh no, I'm in a lot of trouble. However, and here is where I resigned, and in reality, I don't think I should have. I really don't think I should have resigned here. I think I should have kept fighting. Kiki had a lot of kills on to their credit, but I mean, I really do think that I looked back on it and I was like, man, I should not have done that. I should not have done it. I do think, I had the better economy. I had slightly better tech, better society as far as vills are concerned. So I had the advantage, and I think what happened here was I got demoralized. I simply just got demoralized after the castle went down. I didn't retreat. I did not, if we go back to the map here, I had the capability, I think, to really, go imp here, just kind of take my lumps and, go, take the counterattack. I really do think I made a mistake in resigning here. 100%. 100% I did. So I think one of some of the things I'm going to take away from this game is the fact that, one, I got to be a little more resilient. I do think that we had some very good early aggression, and the problem is I needed to find something to do with it. So I think that's also where I need to improve. There's a lot of places I need to improve in this game, and clearly, hopefully, this AoE Specialists tournament will help me with that. So let's actually go to the tech tree for the Vikings, and see kind of what they're all about, because that's a civ I've really started to enjoy. APMs, these are the things that I'm starting to kind of learn as well. Effective actions per minute, and as you can see throughout, let's see, and that's something that I'm trying to also improve upon. So anyways, let's go to the tech tree for the Vikes, and we will go from there. Alright, so let's look at the tech tree for the Vikings. They are an infantry and naval civilization. Their warships cost 15% less, feudal age, so on and so forth. But we're not really concerned with that. You can read it yourself because we mainly play open land maps. Infantry has plus 20 to hit points starting in feudal age, so that's something I probably could have used to my advantage. Maybe even done archers into man-at-arms, or man-at-arms into archers. One way or another, because basically buildings and infantry, but against archers at long range, so there was a little bit of there was a little bit of that. But I was also planning on spearmen. They did produce knights, and we did spot the stables, so that I think was a viable choice. Now the only downside is they don't get halberdiers, but the cool part about Vikings is their archers are actually low-key very good, and I can't remember who pointed it out. I can't remember if it was Scrappy or Arbase or someone on one of my streams pointed out. It may have been Bergwin. I think it was Bergwin. Pointed out that, hey, the Viking archers, don't underestimate them, because they've got all the upgrades you need for your arbalesters. They have some pretty weak cavalry, but also too, their cavalry isn't all that bad either, and we get almost all the upgrades, save for plate barding armor. So Vikings should not be underestimated as far as their archer line is concerned. They're very, very strong in that regards, I think. Their siege isn't all that bad. They've got siege rams, but they're missing siege onagers, and they do get heavy scorpions, so that's kind of cool as well. The university upgrades, the only thing they're missing is the keep and bombard towers, which late game, I don't usually play with towers, but I mean, at some point I'll get the hang of it. Berserkers, they're a unique unit that slowly heals itself, strong against infantry and siege, but they're weak against archers. Of course, the petards did us in. Chieftains, infantry get a attack bonus plus versus cavalry, and generate gold when killing villagers, so that would have been a good tech to have. And they also get Bogsvagar, which is archer line, and longboats receive +1 attack. Their monk line is pretty weak. They don't have redemption. Damn, because I love converting enemy buildings. It's just all of a sudden they go to click on their archery range and like, wait, I can't do that anymore. Herbal medicine, they don't get that. Sanctity, which makes our monks really, really weak, but their range is pretty good. If we get block printing and devotion, we can make our monks or make our units harder to convert. Cool, interesting thing about the Vikings, just historically, because that's what I am a history teacher. They would, do these quick hit-and-run raids, but what they would do is, by the time their reputation got established, they'd literally show up at the doorstep of these villages. Mainly, they targeted villages that had monasteries, because monasteries carried a lot of gold with them. So the Vikings, by the time at their apex, they would literally just show up outside your dock and be like, "Hey, we're here," and you'd be like, "Oh, please don't kill us. Give us, they would just give you the whatever they wanted. So, you would just give whatever the Vikings wanted. So, that was kind of an interesting thing about the Vikings. But again, their monastery line, that's what they did. They raided monasteries, and that's how word of the Vikings got around. But anyways, their monastery, pretty weak. But one thing you want to do as well is collect relics and stuff. I don't think we collected any relics in that one, but as far as everything else is concerned, it's pretty. They have pretty much all the upgrades except for Stone Shaft, and their farm and mill techs are pretty good too. So overall, I felt again like this was my best loss, and I felt like had I snuck the knights and archers through the back of Kiki's base and really gone house on their eco, it probably would have gotten me up to imp, and I probably could have just rebuilt my castle, probably a more defensive castle off of cracked land, because I think that also came into play as well. And I think my town centers were pretty well placed, but I really just was like, yeah, I've got to learn to be a little more resilient. I got to learn that, hey, you can't win the race in the first corner. That's one of the things they taught us, that I've learned throughout, that they taught us at the go-karting place that I went to. You can't win the race in the first corner. So I think that's what I have to learn is, I think a lot of times I watch these low-level games, and once you get archer rushed, it's like, oh, instant resign. And that doesn't always happen. So I applaud Kiki. They played very, very well. I was very impressed, and they were very impressed with the aggression. And again, I think I just have to get a little more resilient and not get as frustrated once my initial push fails. And I think that's what I have to get over. But we're learning. I think it was Nelson Mandela said, if I'm not winning, I'm learning instead of losing. I'm trying to take it from that point. I'm remembering my own chess development. I'd lost a lot of games before I started winning a few. Seems like Age of Empires is the same. So if you like what you saw, please please subscribe. I'm hoping to get back into the swing of things as far as content creation for Magic the Gathering is concerned, now that school is starting up. My summer counseling job, kind of being outdoors with second through fourth graders, 70 of them, physically and mentally just draining. So I'm hoping that once I get back into teaching, things will start to go their way. So until next time, my AoE anarchists, happy hunting. See you on the battlefield. Risen Dragon is out. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.